Now watch this. Keep your eyes open for God. Watch for his works. Be alert for signs of his presence. Remember the world of wonders he has made, his miracles and the verdicts he has rendered. Man, sounds like me. It's a good time to be thankful. Woo! And say, Lord, you have really been so good to me. Oh, Lord, you've been so good to me. Lord, you've been so good to me. I want to tell you, Lord, you've been so good to me. Lord, you've been so good to me. Come on, Kevin, sing it. Well, you set my feet on a solid rock. Set my feet on a solid rock. Yeah, well, you set my feet on a solid rock. Lord, you've been so good to me. I want to tell you now, makes me want to shout it out. From the highest hill, gonna shout it out. From the highest hill, I gotta shout it out. From the highest hill, Lord, you've been so good to me. So good, you've been to me. Yeah. So good, you've been to me. When I feel just a little bit discouraged, when it looks like all my hope is lost, when I go to the rock of my salvation, he's my shelter in a storm. Ooh, Lord, you are my refuge. You are my fortress. I want to tell you now, you are my hero. You give me shelter in a storm. Let me tell you now, you give me shelter in a storm. Yeah, Lord, you've been so good to me. Oh, Lord, you've been so good to me. Oh, you've been so good to me. You've been so good to me. So good, you've been to me. So good, Lord, you've been to me. When my friends say, feel you just can't make it. When the storm clouds are gathering in. When I go to the rock, yeah, of my salvation. You're my shelter in a storm. You are my refuge. I want to shout it out now. You are my fortress. You are my hero. You give me shelter in a storm. You give me shelter in a storm. Come on now, take it to the bridge. Give me shelter in a storm. You give me shelter in a storm. Let me hear you, let me hear you, let me hear you. Lord, you've been so good to me. Sing it out.
Oh,
Lord, you've been so
good to me. Oh, baby, it is Lord.
You've been
So good to me.
so good to me.
So good to me.
So good to me.
So good, so good, so good.
Now where you set my feet
Set my feet.
on a solid rock.
Hallelujah.
Set my feet
Hallelujah.
on a solid rock. I said you set my
Set
feet
my feet.
up on a solid rock. Lord, you've been so good to me. Here we go now, makes me want to shout it out. Woo! From the highest hill. Let me hear you shout, Kevin. Shout it out. From the highest hill. I said shout it out. From the highest hill. Lord, you've been so good, so good, so good, so good to me. Lord, you've been so very good to me. Lord, you've been so very good to me. Lord, you've been so very good to me. Lord, you've been so good to me, to me. Lord, you've been so good. Well, you did all this stuff for me, Lord. I just can't begin to tell you. You've been so good to me.